Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, Jeffrey Combs. It is Tuesday. It's 2 for Tuesday. Good to be here with you on a beautiful August Tuesday afternoon. So join me live at 1 p.m. Standard Time, Tuesday, August 5th, for the Golden Mastermind Seminars podcast, where you will experience the gap. And that is what the content is today, the gap. So I will let the Facebook Live populate, and then I will move into the inspirational portion for today's Facebook Live. Just getting dialed in here. Good to be here with you. It's a beautiful northern, or let's reframe that, Central California day. Good to be with you. And the content that I will cover is right here, the gap. That was a picture of me taken back in 2015 in my speaking days, back in the era where I was speaking 50 to 55 times a year in a calendar year, flying 2 million miles across the United States and other areas of the world. So if you're joining me here today, thank you very much for being here on Facebook Live. And my topic is called the gap. The gap is the space between anxiety, fear, and doubt, and courage. And that gap is where you step into your power and you take that first step across the bridge. And so that is what I call the gap, the GAP. Jared, good to see you this afternoon from beautiful Florida. And my name is Jeffrey Combs. I'm the host today for the Golden Mastermind Seminars podcast. And a lot of my content is also being transferred to YouTube and other social media sites. So these are the topics I'm going to cover on today's Facebook Live on the gap. It's who you are, what you're committed to becoming, the denial you live in, rigorous honesty, acceptance of where you are, transcending consciousness, and then living and being in higher consciousness. If you are a sales professional, and I know that those of you watching are, and I just spoke to a network marketing owner, Mr. Michael Winiger. I also just saw Todd Falcone on Facebook Live. These are men that go back into the 90s with me. If you're a direct sales professional, I started my direct sales journey in 1989 with Amway, and then transitioned into my first direct sales company where I was full-time in a company called Herbalife, a Los Angeles-based wellness company originally on Century Boulevard, right by LAX. So Alexis is a Los Angeles woman. So Alexis, right at Century and the airport is where the original Herbalife building was, right there on the top of the building, right on the way as you're going into the LAX airport, about 3 miles down the road from LAX. And I did events on that hotel drive on Century Boulevard right up to LAX. I did events on one side of the street, the Westin, with Todd Falcone, who I just saw him on live today. Todd and I did numerous events there with the original founders of Visalis going back to 2011. I did events right across the street there at the Marriott. I did multiple events at the Sheraton Gateway Hotel with Joe Dispenza and John Assaraf. And then I did events at the Hilton Hotel, multiple events with other people right there on that strip in LAX. So you know where that is, Alexis, that strip right down the street on both sides of the street. And at the very last hotel, which used to be the Wyndham, I did an event with Jim Rohn, Robert Butwin on September 30th, the year 2000, September 30th. That was my first Jim Rohn speaking event. So there's a lot of history that I've covered in many, many years. I've flown 2 million miles on United, another 500,000 on other airlines, spoke 1,042 times. I'm speaking this Monday for a top-tier insurance client in Phoenix, Arizona, as I'm coming out of retirement. And I will also come out of retirement for select clients of mine that I'm open to doing a couple of events a year with, and I'll be discussing that as I come out of my speaking retirement. Topic for today's Facebook Live, Zarek, thank you. Alexis, Josh, thank you. Topic for today's Facebook Live is the gap. And the gap is the space between anxiety, fear, and doubt, and higher consciousness. It's that space where many of you are in. You're almost there. You're just not quite there, but you're close. And you want to give yourself credit for what you're going through. You're going to go through attrition. You're going to be in businesses where people in your team quit. You're going to be in businesses where people come and go. You're going to have clients they're going to ask for refunds and chargebacks in the same situation that I encounter over time. You're going to have a few disgruntled clients who blame you for their situation. And then you're going to also have great clients. You're going to have great teammates, exceptional customers. And it's important that as you find yourself in this gap between higher consciousness and in this space of anxiety, fear, and doubt, that you do your best to stay anchored through your mistakes and your mentors. You stay anchored in that space called higher consciousness. And that is where it really requires courage. And so if you're doing like theta, like this is, and then beta brainwave, which is a little faster like this. But if you want to be in that zone, it's called gamma. And gamma is like this. Gamma takes a different level of discipline just to put your two hands together. And gamma is what creates the juice that allows you to break through. That is the breakthrough factor. So when you begin to let go of the trauma drama, and you let go of the anxiety, fear, and doubt, when you let go of the negativity, when you let go of the analytical egoic mind, when you let go of the reptilian brain that tells you to grow up, get real, get a real job, stop chasing rainbows. Hey, this is just too difficult for me. And when you look at your bank account that doesn't have the amount of zeros you want in it, you have to be able to access that courage to be and stay in the process long enough that you transition. And the transition comes from repetition and experience. It comes from game time moments. It comes from the sales calls that you're it starts off in hundreds and then it goes to thousands. So if you ever made 200 phone calls in a day, that's called the big leagues. You're crossing the bridge from the minor leagues to the big leagues. And I did my first 200 call day in a telephone room in Denver, Colorado when I was 19 years old. My sales career started for $6 an hour in Denver, Colorado in 1976. That was my first sales position. And I was 19 years old. I was young and green. I was young and dangerous, actually. I was well on my way to being a full-blown drug addict, alcoholic. I was going to Red Rocks Outdoor Amphitheater frequently during the week and going to concerts every week back in the day. That was also the year of the 1976 Olympics. I was living on McDonald's fast food that summer. God, to think of that is disgusting, but I was living on McDonald's fast food for a couple bucks a day. I mean, that was really early poverty era for me. And so I didn't own a business yet, but I aspired to it. One of my friends in that era when I was 19 years old had a carpet cleaning business. And I thought that was so cool, man. He had his own machine. It was in a van. I was helping him out. I started to really, I could do this. I could be a carpet cleaner. I could be an entrepreneur. I could break through. Well, I did eventually, but it didn't happen overnight. And that's the repetition and the experience required to be and stay in the flow in a relaxed body. When you are productive, when you are in the moment, when you are present, you're changing your brainwave state. When you're thinking, processing, analyzing, getting ready to get ready, and worried about situation that hasn't happened, you're overwhelming yourself. And when you're overwhelmed, you're going to stay in anxiety, fear, and doubt. It is so imperative and important that you be your best coach. You be your best coach. You coach yourself into success. And that becomes the repetition and experience required to be TT, top tier in your profession. TTIP, top tier in my profession. TTIMP, top tier in my profession. And to be that man or woman requires the courage. This is why people don't make it. They don't make it because they have too much anxiety. They don't make it because they overthink. They spend too much time in their analytical, egoic mind finding flaws. It's very easy for the ego to find a flaw. That's why it's so important that you monitor your own self-talk. I mean, I myself, almost 69 years old, I'm still prone to little bouts of negativity. When I ITT, or I go in the tank, I occasionally go in the tank. You don't have to be perfect to be successful. You want to be skilled at neutralizing fight or flight and self-talk. So when word is law, you start to monitor your words. When you catch yourself in the tank, when you catch yourself feeling overwhelmed, when you catch yourself feeling desperate. David Rush, good to see you, my brother. I was David's client for many, many years, and I'm coaching his sister today. Thank you for referring Francine to me, David. So great to see you on the live, David. David Rush from a Wall Street homeboy. He's one of us. So good to see you, David. Always good to have you here. So thank you very much. David, say hello to Josh Waxman. Josh, say hello to David. The two of you should meet. Josh is from Philadelphia. David is from New York. So David is a long-term client of mine. So the two of you definitely deserve to connect. Breathe, release, and let go in a relaxed body. So what I want to cover with you today, and people ask me this, what does it mean to transcend consciousness? How do I do that? You transcend consciousness by letting go of your anxiety, fear, and doubt. I mean, broken down, that's where it begins. You begin to let go of your anxiety, fear, and doubt. And what you're letting go of is the trauma bonds that your body is holding on to. As you begin to let go, your brain fog will diminish. Your memory, if you've had challenges with memory, will come back. So David is now in West Palm Beach. That's awesome, David. So your brain fog will begin to diminish. Your brain fog will begin to let go. The trauma that your body holds on to will release itself through meditation, through massage, through foot reflexology, through Reiki, through multiple healing modalities that you can teach yourself or have other skilled professionals assist you with, but especially meditation. Meditation is the art of nothing. And for you to be able to create in a relaxed body, you teach yourself to meditate. It's the Zen. It's the inner game. It's the inner game of consciousness. As little as 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes a day can absolutely change your life. Because what you're learning to do is you're quieting your inner chatter. You're silencing your inner critic. And it's important that you monitor how critical are you of yourself along with others, and that you start to address your anger, that you don't go from 0 to 100. So the anger family is anger, hate, rage, frustration, disappointment, and resentment. That's the 6 phases of anger, and you want to be able to address these emotions to keep you recreating the same situation to fulfill the same feeling. And for you to transcend consciousness, it's important that you are creative. Your ability to create a lead and your ability to create a sale, your ability to close a sale, is in direct proportion to how innovative and creative you are. It's the preparation execution stage of selling. Sales is the highest paid profession in the world. It's one of the easiest skills to master. However, if you don't have the speed of selling, you won't make it. If you're an analyzer, a thinker, a processor, a rationalizer, if you validate, justify, explain yourself, if you're chronically a flaw finder, if you create excuses, procrastinate, and avoid, you will not make it in selling. Selling is an in the moment, in the present skill. It's an athletic skill that doesn't require athletic ability. However, it does require the reflexes of an athlete. I coached a young man this morning, 28 years old, insurance professional. He played 3 years at University of Mississippi, also played at junior college, 1 year of minor league baseball. He's been in the insurance industry for 6 years. And so a year in insurance, network marketing, direct sales, your own business, we call that a dog year. So a dog year means 7 years. So for every year that you're in business, in a dog year, that equals 7. So if you've been in your enterprise for 2 years, that's the equal of 14 years in a dog year. So that means that the repetition and the experience, the inner game that you'd establish, the ability to be articulate, the ability to be in the flow, the ability to be in the moment, are all important skills and attributes when it comes to being a business owner. If you're not skilled at the repetition and experience, you won't be able to cross the bridge of success, because most people procrastinate and avoid. I grew up calling white pages. I've called white pages. I've called 10-cent leads. I've called dollar leads. I've called $3.50 leads. I did postcards by the thousands. I did 2,000 postcards a week. I used to be in a lead generation company with Todd Falcone called ProStep. Todd was one of the top. It was actually a network marketing lead generation company that a lot of top tier networkers would have as a sideline business along with their with their full-time network marketing business. And back in that day, you could do that. You could be in 2 companies before the age of social media, when it was a different Wild West back then. The Wild West you're in now, the Wild West of TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Threads, and all the other social media places that you can be today, is a place where you can create leads. Leads must be a way of life. So for you to transcend, and that's what it means. And so it means you're on the other side of the bridge. So if you're on this side of the bridge in anxiety, fear, and doubt, you're wondering, you're looking, you're trying to figure it out, you're validating, justifying, explaining. You're letting the wrong people get in your ear. You're letting people whisper in your ear. You're getting distracted. You're down the scroll hole of the internet. That will not take you to the LOP, the land of promise. It's a focus situation. It's a B state of focus. You're being focused. You're staying focused. You're focused on the outcome. You're focused on the prize. You're focused on production. You're focused on results. You focus on the prospect. You focus on your teammates. You focus on being in the solution. Everything out of the solution and results is a waste of your time. So I'll say it again. Anything out of the solution or results in dedicated blocks of time is a waste of time. You're right, Josh. So most of the world wants instant gratification. It means they're not willing to pay the price. If you're in a business for 1 year and you're not seeing instant gratification, do not consume yourself with that you're failing. You only fail when you fail to execute. If you're failing to execute, then you're failing. If you're executing, even if you're not receiving the instant gratification or the results, that is game time. That is game time that counts on your banquet of life. Because that repetition and experience is where you learn. That's the mistakes. The people in your circle of influence, those are your mentors. You learn from mistakes and mentors, and those are the best ways that you learn, especially if you're mistake conscious or you have production avoidance, then you're going to find yourself procrastinating. And so many people live in performance anxiety, so they're afraid to fail and afraid to succeed, and that gives them the perfect outlet to have an excuse, procrastinate, and avoid. But if you're in this process of letting go, the separation between the feelings and the events that shape them, now you're in the place called rigorous honesty. As you move into rigorous honesty on the map of consciousness, you've now let go of denial. You're no longer holding on to a story. You're addressing character defects. You're looking at yourself for who you are and what you are, and you're no longer the mind-body connection to the trauma that you grew up in. Trauma will be the deterrent to most of your success, because the body creates a trauma bond based on the neurochemical response that the brain and the gut continues to reproduce. Because when you live in trauma, the body in fight or flight will constantly react to stimulus. As you're letting go of trauma, as you're letting go of anxiety, fear, and doubt, you're changing the way that the neurons operate in the brain. And you're moving from a theta, beta, to a gamma brainwave state. And a gamma brainwave state is speed. And it's in that speed that synchronicity begins to show up. That's the allow space. So it's this space right here. It's gamma. It's a different energy that you're creating. See, this is theta, this is beta, this is beta, this is theta, like this. And that's procrastination energy. But when you're here, when you're in gamma, the brain is releasing a different neurochemical called DMT. This is the attractor factor. It is dimethyltryptamine. And when you're in that feel-good factor, that's the chill factor. You are chilled out. You are not overwhelmed. And the energy that you're transmuting, the energy that you're transcending, the energy that you're projecting is in a different space. And that's a space of love, joy, that's charisma, that's enlightenment, that's posture. And people feel that. You're the light that walks in the room. And this is why you pray before you go to bed. This is why you forgive before you go to bed. This is why you be grateful before you go to bed, because all of those components before rest changes the brain. When you forget to do this, when you take a swig of a sugar drink before you go to bed, when you eat something right before you go to bed, you've just created a state in your body that you'll not be in optimal rest. And so when you wake up, you will have tossed and turned because of the sugar and the yeast that the body is holding on to. You want to do your best and not eat late at night so that when you're resting, your body is in a state, in a brainwave state, so then you wake up. You don't have subluxations in your neck, your back isn't out. You rest fully, and it's rest, not sleep. But if you can't sleep and you toss and turn, it affects your whole day. And if you wake up in the morning and you don't have a routine, you don't have a system, you don't have a method, and you just wing it, that is what your day will look like. If you're late, behind, that's what happens to so many people. They don't have a system. They don't have a routine to live their life. And they just recreate the same chaos over and over to fulfill the same neurochemical response, fight or flight, which creates frustration, disappointment. And this is where so many people are, and that's what doubt is. Doubt will keep you doubting your best self. Doubt keeps you from mastering your own emotions. Doubt keeps you from succeeding in a relaxed body. So when you tell yourself, I want to attract these great people, I want to find a rock star client, I want to find that brand partner who will buy my product, I want to find that one producer who will join my team, that will not happen when you're in anxiety, fear, and doubt. As you begin to let go and you move into the gamma brainwave state, when you move into your limbic brain more frequently, when you let go of your analytical, egoic thinking, processing, analyzing, getting ready to get ready, when you let go of that when you let go of those emotions that creates that outcome, you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. You will begin to change the who and what. You'll change who and what you attract. You'll attract your reality, quality, like-minded success seekers more frequently. You'll attract the clients who have money. You'll attract the clients who have money to invest. You'll attract the clients who are ready to buy. You'll attract friends who are more friendly with you. You'll attract waiters and waitresses who are cooperative when you dine. You'll attract parking spaces and upgrades at concerts and hotels and restaurants more frequently because of the energy that you bring into the room. When you bring the light, when you bring the charisma, when you bring the posture, people feel you. They smile more frequently. Doors open easier for you. This is all part of the transformation from anxiety, fear, and doubt to higher consciousness. Anyone can master this, but it requires mastering your emotions and understanding the inner game of transformation. It cannot be done in denial. It cannot be done in anxiety, fear, and doubt. It cannot be done in worry. It is only done by letting go. As you're mastering the skill of letting go, you're creating the allow space. It's the allow space that allows you to improve who and what you attract. If you continue to stay in dysfunctional relationships, if you continue to hold on to parents who are traumatic and you make excuses up and keep them in your life, if you continue to hold on to a job that does not serve you and you make excuses up that you have to keep the job, then you're just going to continue to recreate the same situation to fulfill the same feelings. My name is Jeffery Combs, president and founder of Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. If you are on today's call and you would like to speak to me about my one-on-one coaching, if you're a former client and an existing client that would like to add on your package, go ahead and reach out to me. I would be honored to connect with you on a breathe, release, and let go day. Dorothy, good to see you this afternoon. David, once again, thank you for joining me. Thank all of you for joining me here this afternoon. Have a great afternoon.